New York Rangers have signed franchise goaltender Igor Shesterkin to an 8-year deal, $11.5 million AAV. He's becoming the highest paid goaltender in NHL history. Passing and carry price $10.5 million AAV.
Not a great plan.
Let's get to the Igor deal, guys. I'll start it off for us. You know I'm opposed to it. It's too much money. If you read my article that's on X about it, I tried to come up with a metric, any stat that can actually make you say this is a good deal. But you're not. You don't have it. If you take away, and NHL.com was quick to point out all the different stats that he's got, going, oh no, he's top 2 if you include 21-22. The problem is if you don't include that season, because then you see him go behind guys like Ullmark, Swayman, Ottinger, Gustafsson, Hellebuck. And you're paying him $3 million more than all these guys. He drops very much in a lot of categories, including saves above expected, which is supposed to be the magical category that makes him the greatest goalie ever.
Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash.
Is he a world-class goalie? Of course. Is he elite? Of course. Does he have great save percentage of the playoffs? Of course. But he only plays like 55 games. They couldn't have signed him to this deal. They did. I get that the cap's going up. Phil, I'll just see it to you because I'm going to keep going on about how much I hate this deal.
There's two big problems with this whole team in general. One, going back to the coaching. Likely, they're going to try to save this season. And they have to now because of this deal.
Okay.
Like, you pigeonholed yourself into a position where you have to go forward. You have to compete. Now you can't rebuild now because you have an $11.5 million goaltender that's going to prevent you from getting someone like James Higgins or Michael Misa. Like, those are the guys that you want to get, but you're not going to get those. And they shouldn't have given him this deal until they figured out whether or not this team could turn it around, which makes no sense to me. I don't understand why they did it at this point.
Woof.
I mean, they're not dead. They're not dead, Matt. I'm sorry. They're not actually dead. It's just statistically not true. Like, we can all think that. Yeah, we can all think that they look dead, but who knows? A coaching change maybe could ignite these guys. Usually it ends up doing so, and usually it's a warning shot across the bow that says, hey, you better wake up, or now more guys will be going. Like, Drury already fired a warning shot by moving Trouba. He already fired it, and you figured that would be enough. But this team just doesn't seem to respond to things like this. So for me, it's almost like they're being like a defiant little child that got a toy taken away from them, and they're throwing a fit until they get the toy back. And that's getting the toy back would be getting Laviolette fired. So they should have never given this deal. The AAV is ridiculous. He's not $3 million better than Hellebuck or Saros or Ottinger or Swayman
Or his best friend.
or anything like that. You can say that by the end of December, but only time will tell. You can say that, you can believe that, that's fine. But only time will tell. Right now, they're not dead. There's still time. They could turn this around and go on a hell of a run. Do I think that'll happen? No, I don't. I think that as constructed, they're fundamentally flawed in so many ways, and a new voice would have to come in and change everything up. But they should have never given Igor Shesterkin this deal until they could have figured out whether or not this team could turn it around and whether or not it was going to require a coaching change for them to do so. So they made a massive mistake. Now they have to go forward and try to go all in, because now this year is the last year of that deal, and then this kicks in next year, and you're screwed because now you're giving an extra almost $6 million almost to him to be a guy that's a top 15 goaltender statistically in the regular season. That's not good enough at that AAV. It's not.
And a guy whose numbers has declined every single year since 21-22. Just at least show me one bounce back. Show me one. Anthony, quickly on this. We got one more quick question on the Rangers, then we can go to the Islanders. What are your thoughts on this deal?
It's a bad deal.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
It's I don't know how else to say it. It's too much money for a guy that's going to be 30 years old and looking like a team that could be on the precipice of a retool. I mean, it's just. I mean, I get it. People will say, "Well, what is Chris Drury supposed to do? Let him go and all that stuff." But yeah, but it's just it wasn't a good business decision to give him that much money. I mean, number one, his outside of his Vezina year, he hasn't done anything to show that he's worth this amount of money. And don't talk to me about the playoffs. Yes, I get that he's good in the playoffs, but you don't pay a guy solely on playoff performance. The regular season does matter, and where you finish and how you perform. So I don't want to hear that. And then you'll talk about, and Phil and I talked about this to other people on Twitter. They're like, oh, well, the Rangers play poor defense. I don't want to hear about that because goalies on significantly worse teams have similar numbers than Igor right now. And he's supposed to be miles better than them.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Dust style. Blackwood. Granted, Blackwood's going to the Avalanche, but on a Sharks team, he was performing pretty similar to Igor. Peter Mrazek.
We'll talk more about him in a minute.
Worst team in the league, on par with Igor. So don't give me that. Oh well, the Rangers' defense doesn't help him out. Okay, yeah, that's true, but that whole narrative is thrown out the window when you look at these goalies who are significantly worse and performing on the same level. So I don't want to hear it. And the other thing is, again, both Phil and I mentioned he's not worth $3.5 to $4 million worth in Connor Hellebuck. Like, oh well, when did Hellebuck sign his deal? Escalation and all that. He signed it in October. He sold
escalation doesn't come into factor here because it's only a year later.
Yeah, give me a break. It was October of 2023. It wasn't that long ago.
Not a great plan.
They made their bed now. They have to lie in it. He's there for a long time. And if the Rangers decide to retool and they take a couple of steps back, you're going to be paying a goalie a lot of money for a team that's not really in a contending window anymore. So, it is what it is at this point. They're kind of stuck with it. And like Phil said, now they really have no choice but to try to keep going forward. But
yeah, they got to go all in this year. They have to. Yeah, there's no choice. And they.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.